All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday, and you know what that means, or you know what that used to mean. Time to do the Tao now. Tuesday Tao, reading from Dr. Wayne W. Dyer's Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao. Or at least that's what we used to do every Tuesday on this series and on this channel. But we did it already, and we're done. So thanks for coming. Goodbye. No, kidding. Kidding. But just a moment ago, before I started here, I was flipping through and I found the 20th verse by random, and it is entitled Living Without Striving. And so I thought today we'd go back and visit the 20th verse of the Tao because it's probably been over a year since we did it, and we'll see where it takes us. Because the Tao is always good to us, and we need to do the Tao now. Tuesday Tao, ladies and gentlemen. So, with that being said, the 20th verse of the Tao Te Ching. Give up learning, and you will be free from all of your cares. To me, I'm like, what? Give up learning? I love learning. Seeking to achieve enlightenment and maintain our happiness, my own personal happiness, but hopefully that helps me no longer be a burden to those around me. Because when we are angry and upset, we could possibly become a burden. Now, living without striving. What is the difference? The 20th verse continues. Between yes and no. What is the difference between good and evil? Must I fear what others fear? Should I fear desolation when there is abundance? Should I fear desolation when there is abundance? Should I fear darkness when that light is shining everywhere? This is very powerful. It's like you want to tell me to be afraid and be scared. I'm thinking of the news now again. This is what the news tells us. To fear what others fear, and to fear the desolation that exists out there in the world, and to fear the darkness. But it's like, must we really fear? This is what Lao-tzu was asking, posing the question. Must we really fear what others fear? Should I fear desolation when there is abundance that exists in the world? And should I fear darkness that you tell me there is when I see that the light is shining everywhere? The verse continues. In spring, some go to the park and climb the terrace, but I alone am drifting, not knowing where I am. Those two lines are deep, and I don't actually know what he meant by that. Maybe making too much plans. Like a newborn babe, it continues, before it learns to smile. I am alone, without a place to go. Very interesting. Most people, it continues, have too much. I alone seem to be missing something. Wow. Where is he going with this? Mine is indeed the mind of an ignoramus. It is unadulterated in its simplicity. I am but a guest in this world while others rush about to get things done. I accept what is offered, and I alone seem foolish, earning little and spending less. Other people strive for fame, while I avoid the limelight. This is all Lao-tzu describing this possible lifestyle, this Tao-centered way of living without striving. At least that's how Wayne Dyer described it. Other people strive for fame while I avoid the limelight, preferring to be left alone. Indeed, I seem like an idiot. No mind, no worries. I drift like a wave on the ocean. I blow as aimless as the wind. All men settle down in their grooves. I alone am stubborn and remain outside. But wherein I am most different from others is in knowing to take sustenance from the Tao, from life, from reality, from God. In this verse, he describes it as the Great Mother. It doesn't matter what you call it, because there is that thing that could be an experience, or it could be something that I barely paused that in time. But it could be something that you don't experience because you are not open to it. But that doesn't mean that you're not a part of it the entire time anyways. I really like these verses because you can read through them and reread through them and come back to them later, and it almost feels new each time, and something different will stand out to, I was going to say to you, or something different will stand out to me, but that would probably be different for both of us. Something unique would come to the unique individual. I am but a guest in this world, while others rush about to get things done. He says, I accept what is offered. This is what is meant when he says, wherein I am most different from others is in knowing to take sustenance from the quote-unquote Great Mother, or from God. I like to refer to it as the Tao, Atum, universe, or the force, because there's so many, when someone says God, immediately they think of something outside of themselves. And I've talked about that enough times. I was going to say 100 or plenty or enough times. And so you know where I'm going to go with that. But simply put, it is not outside of us. We are within reality. Therefore, we are within God. Or this is why it's fun to describe, because it's a little boggling to the mind. But so taking sustenance and accepting what is offered and not looking for yes and no or good and evil. This is when in the first line he says, give up learning and you will be free from all your cares. Sorry, the first 4 lines. What is the difference between yes and no? And what is the difference between good and evil? Should you fear what others fear, the desolation, the darkness, when you could be accepting what is offered, be a guest in life, quote unquote, while others rush to get ahead and get things, this constant striving that we are taught to live with, and that we see so much in the world, just striving for something else, an anticipation of getting something else or being somewhere else, or it is the psychology of arriving versus striving. And he says, by doing this act of accepting what is offered by life or God or the world, the great mother, the Tao, God, and taking sustenance in that, and going with the flow, quote unquote, blowing as aimless as the wind, drifting like a wave on the ocean. He says, indeed, I seem like an idiot to most people who are in the psychology of striving rather than arriving or being here now, being in the moment. And not just being in the moment, but taking sustenance or accepting reality as it is, and then choosing to change the way that you look at things, to change your perspective, to change your thoughts, and change your life. Because as I've said many times, and as Wayne probably said as well, and many other people have said, is that you can experience the same exact thing many different ways. Someone could experience the pepper plants as terrible, and the bugs are just, you just can't stop the bugs, and the leaves are wilting, and it's barely producing any fruit. Or you could look at the pepper plants like they're beautiful, and they're in the sun, and there's some peppers growing, and I'll spray the leaves and, take care of the. There are two different ways to look at the same thing. And when you're going through life, it is important to ask ourselves, should we fear what other people fear? And they tell us to watch out for. I mean, this doesn't mean don't be safe. So don't take this the wrong way. Once again, this is spiritual philosophy. So please tie up your horses, metaphorically, lock the door, or whatever it is. Be reasonable. But do not look for the desolation and the darkness when there is abundance and light. It is only our choice, and it is up to us. And so with that ramble, let's see what Wayne had to say about this idea of living without striving. Or I was trying to think of what I would call this video. It's like the spiritual philosophy of being in the moment and how to enjoy life. I don't know. I just really have no clue. All right. So Wayne says here, in this verse of the Tao Te Ching, you're encouraged to experience your life free of worldly striving, free of anxiety, maybe, how to be in the moment, enjoy life, and reduce anxiety. Well, those are lofty goals, as Jeff once told me. He said, well, Chase, those are high and lofty goals. I'm still at it. It's funny. Lao-tzu advises us to slow down our incessant demands for more and to relax our efforts to fill up every moment with thinking and planning and striving and what should I do and where should I go, with this incessant anticipation of being somewhere else. And so we are invited to experience life in a new way that can be summarized in the title of Ram Dass's book, Be Here Now, to be in the moment. Be here in your mind as well as in your body, Wayne continues, in a state of appreciation, in an absence of longing. Now, this is something that would take a lot of practice for us to get to be able to do it without like having to really try. We create a behavior pattern loop, feedback loop. If you're like, what is that? You start doing something the same way a habit is created. You do something once, then you do it again, and then you do it again, and then you do it again. You continue that process, and before long, you realize you are doing the thing without even having to try to do it. And then when you try to stop doing it, that is actually more difficult than when you began, whenever you started doing the thing, whatever the thing is. And so, with that being said, we need to create this ability within ourselves by doing it. Remember, do something once, then do it again, and then do it again, and do it again, and eventually it's harder to not do it than it is to do it. So we must relax our efforts to fill up every moment in anticipation of being somewhere else. And let go. So the way we do that is by being here in the moment. And so that will allow us to experience life in a new way. So we're not rushed and, take a deep breath in through your nose. And then when you blow out through your mouth, put a little extra pressure behind it to really release. And then you add the sound ah. Ah. I'm telling you, you do that 5 times and it literally changes the biochemical state of your mind and body. It will force you chemically to relax. I don't know why I felt the need to add that, but be here now. This is how we can get out of this constant anticipation and anxiety and striving, or this, just normal functioning mode of our mind that is hard to escape. So be here now and breathe. It helps you to come here now. And so in your mind, as well as in your body, in a state of appreciation. So that's the next step. Once we've done these first steps, then we can begin the appreciation of being here now. And not just in mind, but in body as well. What does that mean? Notice what it feels like. Whether you're standing, sitting, walking, drinking tea, feeling the breeze. Too often we do all these things and don't even notice any of them. How's the chair that you're sitting in? Have you noticed it lately? See, this is why he says in the verse, I alone seem foolish. And then later, matter of fact, he goes, indeed, I seem like an idiot. But no mind, no worries. And so he goes, I alone have this ability that so many others go around not knowing and not taking sustenance or enjoying what is, in that example of like the chair or the breeze or the tea or all of these things that we don't notice when we're so filled with striving, got to do, what's the next anxiety. And so we're trying to find a way to release in this new philosophy of living without striving in the 20th verse of the Tao Te Ching. And so we're being here now in our mind as well as in our body in a state of appreciation for that. So once you recognize your chair or your, the breeze or whatever it is that we were not noticing in this activity filled state of the mind, once we've done our breathing and released and allowed our mind to then focus on the here and the now. There's a great story that Wayne told one time. He's like, when you're like driving down the street and you're thinking, all right, I got to go to the grocery store. I got to get the diapers and the milk. And oh, yeah, I got to make sure I don't forget the eggs. And then after that, I got to go to the post office and mail out the thing. And then I got to go to the bank and deposit this. And oh, yeah, I also got to remember to make a withdrawal. And then I have to stop by the mailbox. Got to get the mail. This is more than we can put on one hand. And we're literally just driving down the road. It's no wonder so many people don't realize what's going around, what's going on around them. And you can see how this could be dangerous. That's why we need to focus on being here now, because the lesson there is that while you're driving down the road in this metaphor, you cannot be getting the groceries and the milk and you cannot be at the bank. You cannot be at the post office. You are driving down the road. So when you arrive at the grocery store, you still can't do all these things till you actually get out and walk into. And don't you think we'd be far more effective human beings if we're actually focused? This is not saying planning is a bad thing, because once again, don't take this the wrong way, spiritual philosophy here, but don't you think we could reduce our amount of anxiety and stress and pressure and responsibility that we feel by being where we are and not trying to do a million other things while we're not there to do it? Once again, in the example, you can't be getting the groceries while you're driving down the street. So wouldn't it be safer and better to focus on just driving down the street while you're doing that? And, create a list on a piece of paper if that's what you need, but then take it out of your mind. And this is the ultimate challenge. I might be blessed with distraction, an ability to become distracted in thought. And so it relieves me of a lot of these thinking patterns of, oh, I got to do this, I got to get that, all of these things that we pile onto ourselves when really we are just driving down the street. And so don't be worrying about the things that you are not doing. Be here now. And so release the what ifs and all of our goals for the future, replacing them with the power of this instant. Now, it doesn't mean you just eliminate all your goals, but we shouldn't be constantly using all of our goals and desires and things to fill us with stress and anxiety through this activity of striving. And so, once again, we need to be here in mind as well as body in a state of appreciation, and then create an absence of longing. And let go of the wondering about doing the right thing. I'll leave that there. I mean, we could just keep going for another 40 minutes, but I think if we can practice letting go of thoughts about what's not here now, let's do that a little bit, actually. It says, just allow yourself, Wayne says, quote from the book, to meld into the perfection of the universe you live in. That may take personal work, creating that perspective, changing your thoughts, and changing your viewpoint on the way that you're judging things. Remember, the verse said in the first 4 lines, what is the difference between yes and no, or good and evil? It's like this is all a part of it. And so we need to choose and not fall into the trap of choosing what everybody else chooses, which is so often the negative side of things. And practice letting go of thoughts about what's not here now. You don't need another thing, Wayne says, to be happy. It's all being provided for you right here, right now. Be in this moment and free yourself of striving for something more and something else. Because this is what is causing the stress and anxiety for so many of us. It's not always the cause. And you can't really go out and get a bucket of anxiety and show somebody how much, it's an intangible thing. So really, it's about us doing the mental and the spiritual and the psychological work to help ourselves. And so this is a mind exercise that will put us in touch with the peace of God, or the peace of the Tao, that which we are a part of, life and reality. Affirm to yourself, use this affirmation: it is all perfect. It is all perfect. God's love, or the Tao, is everywhere and forgets no one. I trust in this and in this force to guide me. And I am not allowing my negative thoughts to enter now. Notice how free you feel, Wayne says, when you relax into this no fears / no worries and in the moment, or being here now kind of attitude. And you will really have not only changed your thoughts and your experience, but you will most definitely change your life, ladies and gentlemen. And I firmly believe every bit of all of that. And so if you think I'm silly sometimes, I do it because we gotta joke around every now and then. I'm like, come on, life is serious. And these subjects are serious, and people dealing with anxiety and struggles and sadness, depression, self-depreciation, or whatever it be, we need to begin to work to alleviate that suffering, reduce the suffering. But the Buddha said, no desire, no suffering. Lots of desire, lots of suffering. So he thought the secret to eliminating the suffering was eliminating all of the desires. But that goes to the old koan of the master that told the student, or it's like, how can I remove my desire? Because that is a desire. And, he goes, see, you are desiring not to desire. And I still don't have the answer to that one, ladies and gentlemen. If you get an answer, then be sure to leave it in the comment section or put the actual quote down there because it's probably really relevant for those of us that are here. And we are here. Just think of the time, ladies and gentlemen. Well, you don't have to think about it. It was right here and it was right now. So thank you so much for those of you being here and joining me. I love to see you in the premieres. I apologize last week for not doing a Wednesday video. It was weird. I had a different scheduling and I worked on Wednesday. And I got home and went to my dad's and started working on the bench we've been fixing. And later that night, I was like, oh, it was Wednesday and I didn't even do a video. But, don't take it too seriously. That's what this is all about. Is not filling ourselves with stress and anxiety because, oh, I didn't do my Wednesday video and everybody's going to be so mad at me. And it's like, it's just life. It's just life, ladies and gentlemen. I also was getting ready for my birthday. I went down to Manitou Springs and Garden of the Gods. So that was very wonderful. Beautiful, beautiful place. Beautiful place. Maybe I'll upload some of the pictures of the historic things about the springs and the mineral waters. It was very fascinating. The water would come out of the ground naturally carbonated. I had never seen anything like that. It was very odd. Getting a handful, a scoop of water out of a fountain, and it's carbonated, and you're like, wow. But anyways, I'm just rambling now, talking to those of you that are here for me rather than the content, which is the point. At least that's why I watch people on YouTube. I just like the characters. And so hopefully for some of you, I can be that character. And so the tea, ladies and gentlemen, we haven't done this in a while. The tea today says on this little thing here, it says, when fear is forcing you to give up, call upon your heart's courage to continue. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, seek to achieve and maintain your happiness through enlightenment. And what that means is seek to achieve and maintain happiness through a greater awareness and a greater understanding of the nature of reality, and seek to discover the mysteries of our history. I have that. It's so funny how that's changed for me over the years. I used to have it down perfect, but then I started adding things here and there, and I always get stopped up and confused exactly what I was supposed to say because I used to say exactly the same thing every time. But anyways, seek to achieve and maintain happiness through enlightenment, seek to discover the hidden wisdom of the ages and the mysteries of our history and reality. And also remember that there is no way to happiness or enlightenment because happiness is the way. Enlightenment is the way. It is the activity, the adjective, the thing that we must bring to life. Adjectives are descriptive words. Sorry, I missed. Anyways, it is the thing that we must bring to life rather than expecting it out of life. And when we can do that, when we can bring it into our lives, then the things we've been telling ourselves, oh, when I become this kind of person, or when I get that much, becomes irrelevant because then we are there. And hopefully the entire journey is wonderful. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. And we should be here tomorrow on Wednesday, unless I totally forget again. But I'm not going to let that happen because we can't delay any longer on the Corpus Hermeticum and original manuscript Hermes Trismegistus, 3rd century AD, from the Egyptian sage god Thoth to us here today. And we will be diving into the first book, Hermes Trismegistus, his first book. And it looks good. I started kind of reading into it. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share this with somebody who is like-minded. And all of those things help the channel. And we appreciate all of you who do support the work that we do here. And with that being said, be the change that you want to see. Be the example. And I'll see you tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen.